I, Thomas from Israel, want to share with you, all my non-Jewish friends, the stories of Jesus Christ's childhood and his remarkable deeds. Let me tell you everything he did when he was born in our land, starting from the beginning. When Jesus was 5 years old, he was playing by a stream. He gathered the flowing water into pools, making it clean by just speaking. He then made soft clay and formed 12 sparrows from it. This happened on the Sabbath. Other children were playing with him as well. A Jewish man saw Jesus playing on the Sabbath and went to tell his father Joseph, saying, "Your child is by the stream making clay birds, and he's violating the Sabbath." Joseph came and saw what Jesus was doing. He asked Jesus, "Why are you doing these things on the Sabbath? You know this is not allowed." Jesus clapped his hands and told the sparrows to fly away. And they did. The onlookers were amazed and went to tell their leaders about what Jesus had done. A scribe's son who was there took a willow branch and disrupted the pools Jesus had made. When Jesus saw this, he got angry and said, "You wicked, foolish person, what harm did the water do to you? Now you will wither like a tree and bear no leaves or fruit." Immediately, the boy withered, and Jesus went home. The boy's parents, grieving, brought him to Joseph and accused him, saying, "Your child does such terrible things." A teacher named Zacchaeus overheard and was amazed at Jesus' words. He approached Joseph and said, "Your child is very wise. Let me teach him letters and knowledge." Joseph agreed, and Zacchaeus started teaching Jesus the alphabet. But Jesus challenged him, saying, "If you truly know the alphabet, explain the power of the letter A, and then I'll believe you about B." Unable to answer, the teacher was confounded. Jesus then explained the complexities of the letter A, leaving Zacchaeus perplexed and realizing he had brought shame upon himself by trying to teach Jesus. He asked Joseph to take Jesus away, acknowledging that Jesus was no ordinary child. Seeing the teacher's inability to understand Jesus, people were amazed and fearful. They said that every word Jesus spoke became an action, whether good or bad. One day, as Jesus was playing on a roof, a child fell off and died. When people accused Jesus, he jumped down and stood by the child, calling him by name and asking if he had pushed him. The child awoke and said, "No, Lord, you did not push me." People were astonished and praised God, recognizing Jesus' power. Another time, a young man was injured while chopping wood. Jesus came, healed his wound, and told him to remember him. People worshiped Jesus, saying the Spirit of God was within him. When Jesus was 6, his mother sent him to fetch water. He broke the pitcher in the crowd, but miraculously filled his garment with water and brought it home. His mother, amazed, kept these mysteries to herself. At 12, Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem after Passover, discussing the law with the temple's teachers. His parents, worried, found him after 3 days. Jesus told them he must be in his Father's house. The teachers marveled at his wisdom, and Mary treasured these moments. Jesus continued to grow in wisdom and grace, and all praised him forever. Amen.
These are the stories of Thomas the Israelite, the philosopher, concerning the works of the childhood of the Lord. I, Thomas the Israelite, tell unto you even all the brethren that are of the Gentiles, to make known unto you the works of the childhood of our Lord Jesus Christ and his mighty deeds. Even all that he did when he was born in our land, whereof the beginning is thus. This little child, Jesus, when he was 5 years old, was playing at the ford of a brook, and he gathered together the waters that flowed there into pools, and made them straightway clean, and commanded them by his word alone. And having made soft clay, he fashioned thereof 12 sparrows. And it was the Sabbath when he did these things. And there were also many other little children playing with him. And a certain Jew, when he saw what Jesus did, playing upon the Sabbath day, departed straightway, and told his father, Joseph, Lo, thy child is at the brook, and he hath taken clay, and fashioned 12 little birds, and hath polluted the Sabbath day. And Joseph came to the place, and saw, and cried out to him, saying, Wherefore dost thou these things on the Sabbath, which it is not lawful to do? But Jesus clapped his hands together, and cried out to the sparrows, and said to them, Go! And the sparrows took their flight, and went away chirping. And when the Jews saw it, they were amazed, and departed, and told their chief men that which they had seen Jesus do. But the son of Annas the scribe was standing there with Joseph, and he took a branch of a willow, and dispersed the waters which Jesus had gathered together. And when Jesus saw what was done, he was wroth, and said unto him, O evil, ungodly, and foolish one, what hurt did the pools and the waters do thee? Behold, now also thou shalt be withered like a tree, and shalt not bear leaves, neither root nor fruit. And straightway that lad withered up wholly. But Jesus departed and went unto Joseph's house. After that again he went through the village, and a child ran and dashed against his shoulder. And Jesus was provoked and said unto him, Thou shalt not finish thy course. And immediately he fell down and died. But certain, when they saw what was done, said, Whence was this young child born? For that every word of his is an accomplished work. And the parents of him that was dead came unto Joseph, and blamed him, saying, Thou that hast such a child canst not dwell with us in the village? Or do thou teach him to bless and not to curse? For he slayeth our children. Now a certain teacher, Zacchaeus by name, stood there, and he heard in part when Jesus said these things to his father, and he marveled greatly that being a young child he spake such matters. And after a few days he came near unto Joseph, and said unto him, Thou hast a wise child, and he hath understanding. Come, deliver him to me, that he may learn letters, and I will teach him with the letters all knowledge, and that he salute all the elders, and honor them as grandfathers and fathers, and love them of his own years. And he told him all the letters from Alpha even to Omega clearly, with much questioning. But Jesus looked upon Zacchaeus the teacher, and saith unto him, Thou that knowest not the Alpha according to its nature, how canst thou teach others the Beta? Thou hypocrite, first, if thou knowest it, teach the Alpha, and then will we believe thee concerning the Beta. Then began he to confound the mouth of the teacher concerning the first letter, and he could not prevail to answer him. And in the hearing of many the young child saith to Zacchaeus, Hear, O teacher, the ordinance of the first letter, and pay heed to this, how that it hath lines and a middle mark, which thou seest common to both, going apart, coming together, raised up on high, dancing of three signs, like in kind, balanced, equal in measure. Thou hast the rules of the Alpha. Now when Zacchaeus the teacher heard such and so many allegories of the first letter spoken by the young child, he was perplexed at his answer, and his instruction being so great, and said to them that were there, Woe is me, wretch that I am confounded. I have brought shame to myself by drawing to me this young child. Now when he was 6 years old, his mother sendeth him to draw water, and bare it into the house, and gave him a pitcher. But in the press he struck it against another, and the pitcher was broken. But Jesus spread out the garment which was upon him, and filled it with water, and brought it to his mother. And when his mother saw what was done, she kissed him, and she kept within herself the mysteries which she saw him do. Again, in the time of sowing, the young child went forth with his father to sow wheat in their land. And as his father sowed, the young child Jesus sowed also 1 corn of wheat. And he reaped it, and threshed it, and made thereof 100 measures. Then he called all the poor of the village unto the threshing floor, and gave them the wheat. And Joseph took the residue of the wheat. And he was 8 years old when he wrought this sign. Now his father was a carpenter, and made at that time plows and yokes. And there was required of him a bed by a certain rich man, that he should make it for him. And whereas one beam, that which is called the shifting one, was too short, and Joseph knew not what to do, the young child Jesus said to his father Joseph, Lay down the 2 pieces of wood, and make them even at the end next unto thee. And Joseph did as the young child said unto him. And Jesus stood at the other end, and took hold upon the shorter beam, and stretched it, and made it equal with the other. And his father Joseph saw it, and marveled. He embraced the young child, and kissed him, saying, Happy am I, for that God hath given me this young child. But when Joseph saw the understanding of the child, and his age, that it was coming to the full, he thought with himself again that he should not be ignorant of letters. And he took him, and delivered him to another teacher. And the teacher said unto Joseph, First will I teach him the Greek letters, and after that the Hebrew. For the teacher knew the skill of the child, and was afraid of him. Notwithstanding, he wrote the alphabet, and Jesus pondered thereon a long time, and answered him not. And Jesus said to him, If thou be indeed a teacher, and if thou knowest letters well, tell me the power of the Alpha, and then will I tell thee the power of the Beta. And the teacher was provoked, and smote him on the head. And the young child was hurt, and cursed him. And straightway he fainted, and fell to the ground on his face. And the child returned unto the house of Joseph. And Joseph was grieved, and commanded his mother, saying, Let him not forth without the door, for all they die that provoke him to wrath. And Joseph sent his son James to bind fuel and carry it into his house. And the young child Jesus also followed him. And as James was gathering of faggots, a viper bit the hand of James. And as he was sore afflicted and ready to perish, Jesus came near and breathed upon the bite. And straightway the pain ceased, and the serpent burst, and forthwith James continued whole. And after these things, in the neighborhood of Joseph, a little child fell sick and died, and his mother wept sore. And Jesus heard that there was great mourning and trouble, and he ran quickly, and found the child dead. And he touched his breast, and said, I say unto thee, child, die not, but live and be with thy mother. And straightway it looked up and laughed. And he said to the woman, Take him up and give him milk, and remember me. And the multitude that stood by saw it, and marveled, and said, Of a truth this young child is either a god or an angel of God. For every word of his is a perfect work. And after some time there was work of building. And there came a great tumult, and Jesus arose and went thither. And he saw a man lying dead, and took hold of his hand, and said, Man, I say unto thee, arise and do thy work. And immediately he arose and worshipped him. And when the multitude saw it, they were astonished, and said, This young child is from heaven, for he hath saved many souls from death, and hath power to save them all his life long. And when he was 12 years old, his parents went according to the custom unto Jerusalem, to the feast of the Passover with their company. And after the Passover they returned to go unto their house. And as they returned, the child Jesus went back to Jerusalem, but his parents supposed that he was in their company. And when they had gone a day's journey, they sought him among their kinsfolk. And when they found him not, they were troubled, and returned again to the city, seeking him. And after the third day they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, and hearing and asking them questions. And all men paid heed to him, and marveled how that being a young child he put to silence the elders and teachers of the people, expounding the heads of the law and the parables of the prophets. And his mother Mary came near and said unto him, Child, wherefore hast thou so done unto us? Behold, we have sought thee sorrowing. And Jesus said unto them, Why seek ye me? Know ye not that I must be in my Father's house? But the scribes and Pharisees said, Art thou the mother of this child? And she said, I am. And they said unto her, Blessed art thou among women, because God hath blessed the fruit of thy womb. For such glory and such excellence and wisdom we have neither seen nor heard at any time. And Jesus arose and followed his mother, and was subject unto his parents. But his mother kept in mind all that came to pass. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and grace. Unto him be glory forever and ever. Amen.
The Gospel of Thomas is a collection of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. Unlike the narratives found in the canonical Gospels, it consists almost entirely of logia, or sayings, and lacks a narrative framework. Its discovery and subsequent study have provided scholars with valuable insights into early Christian thought and the diversity of early Christian texts. The Gospel of Thomas was discovered in December 1945 near Nag Hammadi in Upper Egypt. A local farmer named Muhammad Ali al-Samman found a sealed jar containing 13 leather-bound papyrus codices in a cave. These codices, now known as the Nag Hammadi Library, include a variety of early Christian and Gnostic texts. The Gospel of Thomas was among these texts and is part of Codex II. The Nag Hammadi texts were written in Coptic, an Egyptian language that uses the Greek alphabet with some additional characters. However, the Gospel of Thomas is believed to have originally been composed in Greek. The Coptic version is dated to around 340 CE, but the Greek fragments found at Oxyrhynchus suggest that the text was known in Greek as early as the late 2nd century. The exact date of the Gospel of Thomas's composition is a matter of scholarly debate. Estimates range from the mid-1st century to the early 3rd century. Some scholars argue for an early date, possibly around 50 to 100 CE, based on linguistic and thematic similarities to the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Others suggest a later date, around 140 to 200 CE, due to the text's Gnostic elements and the likelihood of it being influenced by other early Christian writings. The Gospel of Thomas is attributed to Didymos Judas Thomas, which translates to Judas the Twin. Thomas is traditionally associated with the Apostle Thomas, also known as Doubting Thomas, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus. However, there is no definitive evidence that the Apostle Thomas wrote this text. The attribution to Thomas may have been a way to lend authority to the sayings contained within the Gospel. Several theories exist regarding the authorship and purpose of the Gospel of Thomas. Some scholars suggest that the Gospel of Thomas was produced by an early Christian community that emphasized the sayings of Jesus over the narrative of his life. This community may have sought to preserve and disseminate Jesus' teachings in a manner similar to the hypothetical Q source, a collection of sayings believed to have been used by the authors of Matthew and Luke. Another theory posits that the Gospel of Thomas originated within a Gnostic community. Gnosticism was a diverse religious movement that emphasized esoteric knowledge, gnosis, as the path to salvation. The Gospel of Thomas contains several sayings that resonate with Gnostic themes, such as the idea of self-knowledge leading to divine knowledge. Some scholars believe that the Gospel of Thomas is an independent collection of sayings that predates the canonical Gospels. According to this view, the text represents a tradition of Jesus' sayings that developed parallel to, but independently from, the narrative Gospels. The Gospel of Thomas differs significantly from the canonical Gospels in form and content. The canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are narrative accounts of Jesus' life, ministry, death, and resurrection. They include stories, miracles, parables, and teachings within a chronological framework. In contrast, the Gospel of Thomas is a sayings gospel, with little to no narrative content. While there are overlaps between the sayings in the Gospel of Thomas and those in the canonical Gospels, Thomas also contains sayings that are unique, or have different meanings. Some sayings in Thomas have a more esoteric or mystical quality, reflecting themes of inner enlightenment and self-discovery. The canonical Gospels emphasize the salvific significance of Jesus' death and resurrection. The Gospel of Thomas, however, focuses more on the direct teachings of Jesus, and the idea that understanding these teachings leads to spiritual enlightenment. The canonical Gospels are generally dated as follows: Mark, around 65 to 70 CE, Matthew, around 80 to 85 CE, Luke, around 80 to 85 CE, John, around 90 to 100 CE, if the early dating of the Gospel of Thomas, 50 to 100 CE, is accepted. It could be contemporaneous with or even earlier than the canonical Gospels. However, if the later dating, 140 to 200 CE, is preferred, it would be a product of a later period of early Christian development. The Gospel of Thomas provides a fascinating glimpse into the diversity of early Christian thought and the various ways in which the teachings of Jesus were interpreted and transmitted. Its discovery has prompted scholars to reconsider the nature of early Christian texts and the formation of the New Testament canon. While the canonical Gospels have long been central to Christian doctrine, the Gospel of Thomas and other non-canonical texts offer valuable perspectives on the richness and complexity of early Christian literature. What are your thoughts about the Gospel of Luke? Do you believe that it was written by Thomas? Let me know in the comments below. And by the way, if you're new here and enjoyed today's video, I'd like to invite you to join our growing community where you will get access to content just like this every single day. Joining is absolutely free. Simply subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on your video notifications by tapping on the bell. That way, you'll never miss a video like the one you just saw, and you will be notified as soon as a video is released. Before you go, please don't forget to smash the like button to let me know that you love this content, and make sure to share it with friends and family who will appreciate it just as much as you did.